So hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm doing a bank holiday bonus one today. So I'm going to show you how to make this scrap folio folder. It's just literally filled with scrap, and you're just going to need a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock. And this one started its life as an Amazon package, and I will show you how to make that as well. Now these I'm using for scraps, and they are stuffed full of scraps and of ephemera and all sorts of things, which I'll show you later. But you can use these for recipe cards, coupons. You can fill them with whatever you want. This is fully repurposed and really easy to make. So let's get crafting. And you're just going to need a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock for this one, and then there is no cutting involved in this, just scoring. So yes, I may have replaced my cutter, but this is still absolutely fine for using for the scoring tool. So here we go. It's a piece of 12 by 12 card. So the first score is 4 1/4. And move it over to 4 1/2, so it's 1/4. Then it's 4 1/2, so moving this over to 9. Then it's 3/4, so moving that over to 9 3/4. And then you'll be left with 2 1/4. Done. Just pushing that down. And that's it. The outside. So easy and straightforward and no wastage, which is ironic because this is for scraps. The inside, it's a piece of scrap A4 or plain A4, whatever you want. This, I like it, but I don't like it, if that makes sense. And I've got another one that's exactly the same, so I've kept the other one to one side just in case I change my mind. But it's simply just fold over, and that is your inside pocket. You can glue either end, you could run a tape, but I am, as standard, I am going to sew each side. And I'm going to use 6 pieces of A4 card. It could be paper, but as you're using it as storage, it's probably better to use something a little bit thicker for durability. So some of you may ask what stitch I use for the cardstock. So I have got it set to 7, which is this zigzag line here, and that's it. I just then feed through the card. That's it. And so that is them all done. And oh, missed a thread or two here. They are all sewn, and if you are overly worried about the neatness or tidiness of this, why? It's for scraps. Only joking. If you want to, you can cover that with washi tape, or obviously if you use glue, you won't have anything like that anyway. But I like the I like their style, even like so on the tops I have back stitched, so it does look double or a bit messy there, but again it's not going to bother me. If you were going to be doing this for other reasons other than scrap, then you may want to just be a bit more mindful of the zigzag and go back over it properly, if that makes sense. And so now, look at this, I feel like I should get a hamster or something with the threads that I have left over. And so now all you do, I've got more than 6 here because I'm doing more than one. So 1, 2, 3, have a little bit of a mix. 4, 5, 6. And make sure they're all the put them all up different ways. Here we go. Okay, so then we are just going to get some runner tape, and let's do, doesn't have to be precise, but I like to measure things just in case. So about 2 inches from each end. You're gonna make sure that's the top and the open piece. So make sure your runner tape is open first. Like, what? That's not sticking. Aye, so all the way down to about 2 inches. See, it doesn't have to be precise. And then you're going to place your other one on the top of that. Line it up nicely. And go again. And piece the other one on top of that. And then you just keep going. Now we're going to bring in the file folder and the pages for the inside. And I am going to add double-sided tape. I don't recommend the runner tape that I used to stick the edges together because it started separating, so I replaced it with double-sided tape just to make you aware. So I don't know whether it was the brand or whether it was the runner tape in general that just isn't strong enough. So just a heads up, I changed my mind and I replaced it with double-sided tape. So just peeling this away, and we are going to place this as close to that. So there's the 1/4 inch base, and you're doing the first edge of that against here. Try and line it up. There we go. And just pressing that in and down. And taping the other side. I think I'm going to run out of double-sided tape. This was quite good though, it lasted a long time. Come on, you're going to make it to the end. Gorgeous. Thank you, tape. Now, just before I peel this and stick this down, I'm going to use these brads to help secure it closed. So I'm just going to guess the middle. And these brads I used in a scrapbook years ago, and then I didn't like the design, so I took it all out. So they've already been split. It might take a little bit more effort. Nope, fine. And closing that, not tight because I want some maneuver for some thread here. I messed that one up. I take it back. So I need to work out where this is going to end first, and then put there. So this can be covered up with a piece of scrap, but if you're decorating it, so second time's a charm apparently. So there we go, and then lining this up, and I want the brad to be about here. Now with this one, just before I close this off, I've just got a little piece of sparkly string here. I'm going to place that under this brad and then secure that one tightly down with the thread underneath it. So there we go, and then when you come to close, you can just wind that round like so. And then we can peel this away. And then we are going to make sure that the scored edge fits. Let's see if I can do that on camera. So actually that might be easier if we sit this up. Bring that back so you can see. Sit that up on the file, on the scored line, and then fold that down so it sits nicely. And there you have it. I'm just going to make sure that that's fully stuck. And there you have a scrap file for all your scrappy little pieces. I've got this A1 Amazon packaging. It's the thick card. Usually comes with the tiniest little thing inside it, so use it for something else. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use some old envelopes for this one. So this is a whole repurposed scrap storage, and you can see that there's obviously a tear where I've opened up the Amazon packaging, and it's going to be too large, so we're going to repurpose it. So I'm going to cut off the edges, and actually I'm just going to cut this flap off because I don't need it, and that can make a spine for another book later on, or something else. Yes, I am literally do not throw anything away. So just cutting through, that's a double layer, so it might take a bit more effort. That's it. And cut off this edge. Being careful with your rotary blade, as always. God, you heard the effort in me then, didn't you? Okay. Okay, so then this I'm using as measurement guide. So I'm going to score. I'm going to use the ruler as the measurement, so I'll measure it properly in a second for you, but I'm just going to score here. And just bring it over a smidge. And score there. That's the lid. then on the flip side of this, I'm going to add the 1/4 inch score. And then again, just lining this up, and this time just trimming. So let's see what that is. That is approximately 1, 2, 3, 4, go 5. Is that the same the other side? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. So yes, we want about, we'll do 5 1/4 just to be on the safe side and trim that down if we need to. Oh, that was lovely cut. Thank you. That was, I've worked out my own strength there. And again, nice piece of scrap card for future use. There the whole time. And then just folding that over. I can trim these little pieces off here. I could probably peel that off, but I don't want to do any more damage to the card. There we go. So just giving that a rub down. Giving that a rub down. Oh, I didn't need to give that one a rub. That was the pre-scored one. Oh, never mind. That again, I'm going to cover this up. It does not matter. Give that 1/4 inch score a nice helping hand. There we go. And that's a pre-scored. I'm not scoring that one. So then it should be just as the other ones were. No, I do need to trim the top of that again. Okay, so I was right. It wasn't quite 5 1/4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go 4 3/4 and see how we do. Nope. I think we could even go 4.5. 4.5. That was 3/4, so just an extra 1/4 off. Yes. Okay, so now we're going to decorate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark where the score lines are, score it into the card. So 12 by 12 cardstock here. I'm going to stick the card approximately there so I can trim that off, and that is scrap to go in this. Why not? So pencil. So here's the line. That was not one. There it is. There it is. There it is, and there it is. And then I'm just going to trim off So this is where I was marking, so I'm just going to draw a faint line here so that I can line this up and trim safely at 1.5 inches, and we can trim back down if needed. And then I'll find these lines again, correspond it with my mat so that I can get that straight. So I'm just going to draw lines so I can see where I'd need to score. And then I'm going to bring this back in. And that should help bend the card around here. I'm just going to score where the edges are. The posh paper lady says this breaks up the fibres in the card, so that makes it easier to manipulate the cardstock without it cracking or tearing, or minimizing the ability of that happening anyway. And then I can see that's definitely too thick, so we can chop off another 1/2 inch. I think we'll be safe with that. Okay, and then I'm just going to fold gently where I've made the score lines, just to help it when we glue it and fold it then. Again, this 1/4 inch line will need a little extra TLC. I just think this is really pretty paper. Come on, you. Just needs that little bit extra attention because it's a really thin. There we go. There we go. Nice and gently. Ready to slide. And now we are going to smother this with glue. I've just got my PVA glue, school glue, whatever you call it. And I'm going to use my fingers. And just wipe the excess onto there. And then we're going to line it up. And because it's PVA, you can kind of manipulate it because it's wet. Be where you need it to be. Lovely. And I'm just going to really press that down. Make sure it's nice and smooth on the other side, which it is. And once again, bring in my big fat research and statistics book, which I never read, and and I will leave that to dry. This is dry. We can take the corner away from here. You can see I already did this, but I recorded without the sound on, so so we're going to take away this corner, which was handily scored beforehand. Then remove that corner, remove this corner, remove this square. Again, it doesn't have to be straight or anything, you're just, this is going to be hidden by more paper. And get it close to this corner, but you don't want it completely on that corner, otherwise you will have a bit of cardboard sticking out and that will be noticeable. So just corner, cutting that off and cutting that off. And then again, before we glue, we are going to just work this cardboard, the cardstock around the cardboard. So the score lines really did help here. I've got this ready in case it needs a bit more like this, a bit more attention. There we go. And then where the spine was, just working that. Again, the 1/4 inch needs just that little bit extra time and care. Go. And then it was like that. Lovely. Now to glue these in, again, PVA glue or double-sided tape. And then folding it over and sticking it down. You can see here I had cut just a slightly too close to that corner. So there's a tiny piece of cardboard peeking through. Again, that is not going to bother me because this is for scraps, but you could take one of the corners that you cut and just kind of blend it in somehow that way. But again, I'm not bothered. So again, I'm just going to place my heavy book on top and let that dry. And now that's completely done on both sides. Well, it's not completely done, it's completely dry. Now we're going to bring in just a sheet of regular printer paper. And that's already the perfect width. So we need to trim it down to just under this fold. So I'm not going to get my cutter for this. I'm just going to use my ruler and a craft knife. And just trim that down. Sometimes it makes it, so I'll just trim that little piece off again from there first. There we go. And that's lovely. Now, because it's printer paper, it's a bit thinner, so I am going to use tape rather than glue because it'll just end up wrinkly and all sorts. And then just lining this up on your file. And smoothing it down. It's not going to be perfectly smooth. It's printer paper at the end of the day. You could use card, but as I'm going to put in those envelopes, I thought there was no point in using more of my cardstock for this. This is just an example of repurposing. So here we go. I'm just going to give that bit of a helping hand, gently with printer paper. And then that was this one. It has gone a bit wrinkly. I thought it might, but it doesn't matter. And just try and press that in a bit. So, using the edge of this to flatten that down. And there we have it. Beautiful. And we can make a little closure for this as well. But the final step for this is to use those repurposed envelopes. So again, it's just taping one side, then the other, closing it up, and we can sort out a closure for this in a minute. And so for this closure, we're going to use elastic, which is in half 12 inch, so 24 inches of elastic, roughly. You are then going to pierce a hole, so piercing a hole in the middle of that. And then, so this is the elastic, and it's going to fold in half. You're going to have the loop at the end. Then you're going to make a knot with the two loose ends here. And make another one. Just safe. And you're going to bring in a brad and poke it through that hole. And just before you secure it, you're going to loop over this elastic piece and try and hide as much of the ends as you can. Maybe wrap it around, push that all the way through. And we can trim off any excess, that's fine. And then closing that off, and you can cover that with washi tape if you want. And then it's simply going to wrap 1, 2, oh, pinged me. That just loops around there like that. And that's another example of a closure. And now here it is, the very well loved, well stocked scrap folder. If you're like me and you're going to overstuff it, you're definitely going to want the elastic. But this one I'm using for ephemera and card topper things. So in here I've got just little sentiments that I cut from pieces of cardstock that came in the packs. I've got little well-being sayings that I printed off from Canva, which are going to go into a little journal. I've got, again, this was from a random card pack, and it's just got little things that you can stick on top of cards, or little squares. Some of them got sayings on, but typically the ones I've picked up haven't got those on there. But you can fill this with ephemera. Oh, here we go. So I think you're so amazing, things like that. Fill this with ephemera, fill this with scraps, and it's really sturdy because of the cardstock of the Amazon packaging. And there it is, my little card scrap holder. And so in just under an hour, I have made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 storage solutions for scraps. And I can now organize all my scraps, and that may, take a while, but that might be a quiet evening where I literally just don't want to think about anything. I'll just cut and trim things down, cut off the zigzaggy edges and things, and put them all into files. You can label them. You could have one for white scraps, one for coloured scraps, one for sentiment scraps, one for whatever you wanted. So I hope this has inspired you to repurpose, but also to think about saving as many of the scraps as you can, because there's always something you can make with them. And I'm sure I will show you that at some point too. So thank you once again for joining me. I appreciate all of you and your kindness towards me, and I feel truly blessed and humbled by all of you for being here. So thank you so much. Take care, and I'll see you soon.